Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back. It is exactly 8:44 a.m. We're crossing over to Germany and we'll be talking with German journalist Martin Lejeune, and we're going to be asking the question regarding Germany and Britain. Are they going to consider cancelling the visit by Benjamin Netanyahu to their respective countries? This in the wake of hundreds of Israeli writers, artists, and intellectuals who have called on Germany and Britain to cancel that visit, saying that his plan, that is Netanyahu's plan to overhaul Israel's judicial system, has put the country on a destructive course. So the all-important question is, will those two countries heed that call and cancel this trip to their countries, and what do they believe he's going to achieve by visiting their countries? Salamu alaikum to you, Martin Lejeune. Welcome to the program. Nice talking with you once again.
Wa alaikum assalam, and thank you so much for having me.
Okay, your response to my opening statement.
Yes, it is true that hundreds of Israeli writers, authors, and academics, among them David Grossman, a very famous writer, and also filmmakers that got international successes at festivals, they called yesterday on Germany as well on the United Kingdom to rescind their invitations to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and cancel his scheduled visit to the two European countries. As I can say regarding Germany, this probably won't happen. I'm now talking to you live from Berlin, and I just spoke to some government officials of Germany and asked them how will they respond to this urge by the Israeli citizens that urged the cancel of the visit. And they said this won't happen. Benjamin Netanyahu is arriving today to Berlin to start his 3 days state visit, and it is most unlikely that this visit will be cancelled at the last minute, because Germany officials want to meet Netanyahu. They want to talk to him. He will meet the Chancellor Olaf Scholz as well as the federal president of Germany, Frank-Walter Steinmeier, among many other politicians. And they want to talk to him to influence his policy and to find a solution for the Middle East conflict, and also to find an approach how to deal with Iran. So there are so many topics, also international security cooperation, that they want to discuss with him, that it is most unlikely that this visit will be cancelled at the last minute.
So the people in his own country that are opposing this visit, they don't want him to meet with German leadership and British leadership. Their argument is that Netanyahu's coalition, a collection of ultra-nationalist and ultra-orthodox parties, has barreled ahead with legislation that aims to weaken Israel's Supreme Court and give them control over the appointment of the nation's judges. I'm kind of wondering how cancelling the trip would really make any difference to the stance he's taking regarding the Supreme Court and the appointment of ultra-nationalist, ultra-orthodox judges is concerned. It doesn't quite make sense unless, of course, these very liberal people within, supposed liberal people within Israel, are just trying to make a point that if the German and British leadership does not meet with Netanyahu, it will then send a clear message to him to suggest that he needs to rethink his policies in Israel.
But on the other hand, it could also help Netanyahu in a certain way if he would be cancelled by German and British officials, if he could not enter Germany to do the state visit, because then he could show to the Israel public that he's cancelled, that he's a victim of cancel policy, and he could use this impression to get more support for his new government and for his coalition of ultra-Orthodox and nationalists. So I think it may be better at this situation to receive him to Germany, despite all the internal problems that are going on in Israel right now. We know about the demonstrations that are growing, as well as in Israel, as in Berlin. I'm going to talk to you about that later. Which kind of protest is going on in Berlin? It's also becoming huge. But let me just saying that Germany and Israel, they have very, very close ties for decades, really for more than 50 years. That they are very close allies. And I think what Germany is saying to Israel has an influence. And if Scholz, the chancellor, and Steinmeier, the president, are both talking to Netanyahu about his justice reform and about the struggle, the internal struggle that are going on in Israel right now, that could have a positive influence on his decisions, so that he might consider also to act a bit more liberal. So I think talking to him, as the good friends that the German politicians are, may be better than to cancel him and to boycott his visit. This is what I think at the moment.
Okay, Martin, let me ask you the all-important question, which I've been wondering about, at the start of this interview. And I kind of wonder about the impact either way, whether they're able to sway him to go, the more liberal route or not. What impact does that have on the Palestinian people and the issue around the usurping of Palestinian land on a daily basis, the hardship upon the Palestinian people? Does this have any bearing either way on the poor Palestinian people, the people that are living under a very brutal apartheid system?
Yeah, this will most probably will influence the situation of the Palestinian people, who are suffering the violation of international law as well as humanitarian law daily. So as we know, the occupation is ongoing every day, as well as the annexation of Jerusalem. And this is the reason why the Palestinians are facing so many problems every day, as confiscations, illegal confiscations of their land, access to water is denied, and you know about many arrests and political prisoners. So this is a big problem. But this is so important. Why I think that German Chancellor Scholz, as well as President Steinmeier, who often criticized in the past decades the occupation of Palestinian territories, who very often criticized the violation of international law, the violation of humanitarian law, because both Scholz and Steinmeier are social democrats who show often solidarity with occupied Palestinian citizens. And that's why I think they will try to talk to Netanyahu in a way that makes it also easier to Palestinians who really face a very difficult situation at this time under this new government. And let me also add something, that there is a large diaspora of Israeli as well of Palestinians in Berlin, as well as in the whole country of Germany. There are 25,000 Israeli expats in Berlin. There are 100,000 Palestinians in Berlin, and they will gather up to protest against Netanyahu. So approximately 1,000, if not 10,000 people will gather together at the federal chancellery, the office of Olaf Scholz, where Netanyahu will go tomorrow. They will do a rally against the occupation and against the visit of Netanyahu. And also at the Republic Square in front of the parliament, there will be a protest. And also in front of the Brandenburg Gate, a major historical site of Berlin and a symbol of unity and peace, there will be a demonstration against the new judicial reform of Netanyahu. So the huge demonstrations are announced against the visit, and it won't be easy for Netanyahu to move. And I think this protest is a sign to Netanyahu, and it will probably support the talks of Chancellor Scholz and President Steinmeier.
Martin Lejeune, as a German journalist, given that we know what happened in the previous world wars, how the Jews were persecuted out of Europe, Germany in particular, it's very, it's comes to me as a bit of a surprise knowing that Germany and Israel enjoys very good diplomatic relations. Whether that is good for the Palestinian people or not, I'm not sure. I don't understand those politics, but be that as it may, what do you attribute those warm relations between those two countries, given the past history of Germany and the Jews?
Germany really wants to do
Reparation,
favors,
perhaps?
reparation. They want to do preparation. They want to do favors to Jews, and often it is mixed that they equalize the community of Jewish believers with the state of Israel. So probably some people think if they deliver, as Germany does, if they deliver weapons to Israel, like submarines with alleged atomic weapons, so heavy weapons are delivered by Germany to Israel now also for a long time, for decades, even despite the fact that Israel is violating international and humanitarian law on a daily basis. So they think they see it as a way of the reparation. And they see it as a way to have good relationships with the international Jewish community, especially with Jews living in Israel. So I think a lot of things are mixed up, but on the same way, because of the fact that Germany is delivering weapons to Israel and is paying money to Israel and has very close cultural and social ties, this also gives Germany, as I mentioned before, a bit of power to have influence on Netanyahu's position or on every government's position, because actually also I think Israel needs Germany, because Germany is backing up Israel. Germany is delivering weapons to Israel. So I think that is the reason why Netanyahu maybe or hopefully is going to listen to German politicians to make it a little bit easier with the judicial reform, as well as how they treat the Palestinians at the occupied territories. And also the Berlin police, this is what I also want to mention, is going to lock down the city of Berlin for 3 days. So they monitor all places where Netanyahu meets politicians and stays overnight at the Waldorf Astoria, a 5-star luxury hotel in Berlin. And there are snipers on the roofs and special forces who monitor everything. Even the water police is controlling the river that flows through the capital. And so that there will be a lot of restrictions for all the citizens at the center of Berlin. And there will be also all these demonstrations against Netanyahu. And these demonstrations, let me say this again, they unite the Palestinian diaspora and the Israeli diaspora, as well as German citizens who are all together against the judicial reform and against the oppression of Palestinians at the occupied territories, against the violation of international and humanitarian law. And I think this will also send strong messages to the government of Benjamin Netanyahu.
Sadly, very sad to hear that Germany supplies all of those heavy weaponry to the Israelis to supposedly protect themselves against very, very innocent Palestinian men, women, and children who are being killed by the hundreds of thousands over the years. Very, very sad state of affairs, but I think that's a conversation for another time. But as always, Martin, lovely talking with you, and you go well. Salaam alaikum to you.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for having me.
Martin Lejeune, a journalist based in Germany, talking about the proposed visit of Benjamin Netanyahu to Germany and Britain, where obviously people in Israel are wanting that visit not to go ahead. They're protesting against that visit because they believe that Netanyahu's coalition is a collection of ultra-nationalist and ultra-orthodox parties, which has barreled ahead with legislation that aims to weaken Israel's Supreme Court and give them control over the appointment of the nation's judges. And my all overriding question is, does it make a difference to the plight of the poor Palestinian people under this very harsh apartheid regime that they're living? So that is the all-important question. So whether the visit is allowed or not, I think makes absolutely no difference to the plight of the Palestinian people. 901 News and Views right here on Salam Media. Please stand by. Lots more coming your way. A very, very warm welcome to our Polokwane listeners on One Nation FM. Do stand by. We will be talking with Mufti Muhammad Hafiji, coordinator of the Johannesburg branch of the Jamiat al-Ulama. It's about the Masajid crime management strategy. We'll also be talking with Shad Thomas. He is an organized crime expert. We're going to be looking at stats regarding crime in South Africa, particularly Johannesburg, and how GBV seems to be the number one on the list of crimes being perpetrated. Michael Beaumont, National Chairperson of Action SA, is going to respond to the claims by Bongani Baloyi regarding his separation from Action SA. And we wrap up by talking with Christo van der Rede, not forgetting that Zai Jadwood will be joining us for Not the 9 o'clock news.